So it seems we have some shit to talk about. So, Mr. Vard talking about don't write your essay. I'm tired of grading essays. I'm talking about why do you make us write so much then? So she said do a video. So here we are again. It's about Allegory of the Cave, which is by Socrates. Yep. And no,
Plato.
you're not supposed to talk. It's by Plato. Socrates is referenced in it though. And we're not going to read it this time. I have it right here, but we're not going to read it. So basically, this is what happens. The guy is talking to a student. The teacher's talking to a student. He's describing a cave, which has prisoners in it, and there's a fire, and there's people walking by the fire, casting shadows on the cave wall, which they can see, but they're chained down, so they can't turn their head or anything or look anyway. So all they see is shadows their whole life. They've been chained up since birth. I don't know if they switch the chains out or what, because your hands get thicker and stuff. It's an allegory. Basically, an allegory is like a story, but the story is supposed to represent a different story. It's like a whole new meaning and shit. It's really confusing. Very existentialistic. Yeah, so that's what happens. People have never seen the outside world. They only see what is put in front of their faces, which is basically what the Allegory of the Cave is all about. It's all about perspective. And so, the perspective of these people in the cave is the cave wall and the shadows. And we're supposed to be comparing this to the Truman Show movie. We're supposed to be comparing this to Fahrenheit 451, the book. And for extra credit, we are supposed to be comparing this to Invisible Man. Now, Truman Show is pretty obvious. Truman Show is a movie, which it's a really good movie, and it's about this guy named Truman, played by Jim Carrey, and he basically lives on an island, and his whole life is from beginning to the end of the movie. He's just his whole life has been planned out. It's been a set, and he doesn't know it, and everybody else does. So basically, the whole island is a fake island, but it's just a movie set. And so they put all this information in front of him, and everything he knows about his life is false because, well, I guess I wouldn't say false because it is his life, but everything he was told is basically untrue because about the outside world, because he can't visit the outside world. He has to stay inside of a set. They won't let him leave. And same with Allegory of the Cave. So the people running the TV show would be the chains in Allegory of the Cave, and Truman would be the prisoner, and then the island would be the cave itself. And then for Fahrenheit 451, I mean it's like his life. He was taught that, okay, so it's a book by Ray Bradbury, and basically the main character, what's his name, Montag, something like that. So Montag, he's a firefighter, and firefighters burn books. They don't actually put out fires in the future, so they just go through and they burn everybody's books. It's kind of like Book of Eli, which is another good movie. And then just thumbs up. That's it. And then he goes through. He burns all these books, and he was told his whole life that's what's right. Until one day, a girl who lives next to him is like, "Oh, what if this is wrong?" And so it changes his whole life. So basically, again, his life has been placed in front of him. It's just been planned out so about how everything should be. And so the people trying to keep him down are the chains again. And then the girl would be the boat that Truman used to get off the island or whatever. Did they ever get out of the chains, the prisoners? One did. I don't know how he got out. I don't remember. But
One of the guards let him out, but then the guard took him up to the cave entrance. So he could see everything else.
So apparently, as he did not tell me, one of the guards let one of the prisoners out, and so that would be the boat, and that would be the little girl. And so basically their whole perspectives change because what is presented to them is no longer being presented to them like directly to their faces. So they learn to think outside of the little box that they're in, which is their life. And so for Invisible Man, I found this a lot harder to do. I was thinking more of like a race relations thing because the main character of Invisible Man, he's a black man and he's living in a time in the Roaring '20s, in a time where it was not acceptable for black people to have power, and so he was treated like he was worthless his whole life. He was told he was worthless his whole life, and like his uncle, he even had that dream about like his uncle or whatever, where it was like
His grandpa.
his grandpa. He didn't tell me this, but it was his grandpa. So his grandpa, he had a dream about his grandpa, and he opened a briefcase, and on the briefcase, he thought it was like an award, but it wasn't. It just said, "Huh."
No, I was agreeing with you.
Oh.
Actually, mine, like, it wasn't an award.
Basically, it was just like keep running, and so like he was taught no matter how hard you try, you won't be able to get there because you're black, and till one day he met what was her name, Mary, and so Mary taught him otherwise and taught him about black history and all that, and so he actually believed he wasn't worthless. So again, another person had set them free from the reality in which they were placed in. That's pretty much what I got about it. I couldn't think of any other example of him being in a cave.
Basically, the whole racial issue is like the chains, right? Like the racial issue in general, and the people that are trying to put him down. So that's the chains. The whole society in general. That's the cave. And then like what society makes it to be is like the fire and all that good shit, right? And then Mary would be the guard that releases one of the prisoners. And the Invisible Man is one of the prisoners, right? And so after the Invisible Man has his eyes open and he sees the world for what it is, he goes back and tries to tell other people. But then Ross the Destroyer / Ross the Extorter, he's like the other prisoners that the Invisible Man is trying to explain things to. But because Ross the Extorter is so blinded by his rage and with society and the racial issue that he ridicules the Invisible Man. And yeah, but he like ridicules him like the prisoners ridiculed the freed prisoner. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I can't repeat all that back though. So basically what he wasn't telling me was the Invisible Man was the prisoner that got set free. Mary was the guard that let him out, and the society was the cave, the race relations was the chains, and then there's a character in Invisible Man, his name is Ross the Destroyer / Extorter, or Extorter, and then is it Extorter? I thought it was Extorter. Any whoosies. Basically, he's one of the other prisoners because the prisoner tries to explain to the other prisoner, but Ross the Destroyer / Extorter was so blinded by his rage that he just didn't listen. He was mad about the race relations topic. And yeah, there's that. Yeah. So there's that. We should also compare it to the Cathedral because I don't want to write an essay on the Cathedral. So the Cathedral is another story by whatever his name is.
I don't remember anything about the Cathedral.
Basically, what happened was there was this hoe, right? And she was married to this guy.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
And this hoe was in love with this guy. It didn't say that in the book, but you could very clearly see that she was in love with this guy. And the guy was blind. And so her husband didn't like the guy because of the fact that she was in love with him, even though she never said that. And she invites him over. The blind guy, his wife died or whatever.
Yeah.
And so she invites him over to stay with him for a little bit, and the husband wasn't too happy about it. But then while the husband was, when the guy got there, the wife was just a complete bitch the whole time. And so, they were talking about the blind guy's wife, and then the husband was like, "Oh, was she black?" And then the girl was like, "Oh my God, this and this and that, blah 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 blah." like, how can you be so inconsiderate? And then he was like, I'm like, he was just asking a question, like, what's the problem there? But apparently it was a big issue. And so the blind guy gets there, and the blind guy and the husband start smoking some weed, and they're just kicking it, chilling. The wife's doing dishes or something, and then the blind guy is like, "Yo, what's a cathedral look like?" Because he's high as fuck. And then
watching a documentary on cathedrals.
And they're watching a documentary on cathedrals. So there was that, and the husband was like, "What did he say?"
He tried to explain it.
Okay, well, yeah, okay. So he tried to explain the cathedral, but obviously the guy's blind, so he can't think of what it would look like. And so the blind guy gives the husband a pen and a pencil, and the husband, he says, draw it. And so the husband goes to draw it, and the blind guy puts his hand on the husband's hand, and then he said, no homo, and used his get out of gay free card. But then, so he was drawing it so the guy could imagine like what was being drawn, and so what he could see or whatever. And when the husband was drawing it, the husband closed his eyes. So he doesn't actually know what he drew. We don't actually know what he drew.
The blind guy told the husband to close his eyes.
Yeah, the blind guy told the husband to close his eyes. And the blind guy doesn't know what he drew. But then when he said, the blind guy said, how does it look? The husband didn't open his eyes, and he said, it's really something. And that's the end of the fucking book. And I was like, the fuck is this? Why did we read this? But basically, it could be said. Oh, well, wait, what are you doing? It could be said that that the blindness was the cave as well as the society, and that, let's see, what else could we say about it? The husband. Okay, that was important. The husband, or were those stalactites? The husband, you can't even see it, honestly. Anyways, the husband would probably be the guard, or maybe the wife would. No, the husband would probably be the guard.
The blind guy would be the guard.
I thought the blind guy was the prisoner.
No, the blind guy would.
It could go both ways, actually. So first scenario, his blindness is the society, or is the cave and the shackles, and then the wife would probably be the fire, and then the husband would be the guard. And then, yeah, shut up. And then if you switch it around, the husband, okay, the blind guy would be the prisoner, but if you switch it around, the husband would be the prisoner, right? And then the guard would be the blind guy, and the wife would still be the fire.
Wife would be the chains.
Oh, that too. Wife could be the chains.
And the wife combined with the husband's ignorance would be the chains.
The wife, as my dear friend has not told me, would be the wife, and then the husband's ignorance would be the chains, as well as I guess the house could be the cave. They live in the house, because he was ignorant of the things blind people go through and all that, but he was enlightened when they were smoking lots of weed. So yeah, there's that. What was the other story we read?
I think that was it.
I feel like there was another story we read, because we read the cathedral and then we read another one right after that. I don't remember.
Fuck it.
So let's talk about this catwalk. So.
And my dog just farted too. That's gross.